I am grateful, and I'm also grateful for the invitation. I feel very passionate about when I hear Linda Vijana, because if you look at some statistics I'll be sharing here, first of all, we'll give you reasons why vijana wanafaa walindwe. So I'll start with some introduction of just trying to engage you a bit intellectually. Then I'll end with something now that you can take home. So the first part is just for you to gauge your mind with statistics which are there. And also to remind you that why, as a young person, you're really privileged. So I start by saying that Alexander the Great was a young man when he conquered the world and wept for more worlds to conquer. So can you imagine Alexander the Great was a youth? Napoleon was only 35 when he made the Emperor of France. So some of you who are not yet 35, are you almost becoming Napoleon? The great Tom Mboya, one of the founding fathers of Kenya, you know him, whose airlift project has produced many great men and women, was only 35 when he created and made the unions in Kenya, and he prepared the first Kenyan constitution. I'm sure some of you can relate to that. Thomas Jefferson, I'm sure you know about Thomas Jefferson, was less than 30 years when he was elected to the US Senate, and which he had to suspend rules. No, Senate had to suspend rules to allow him to sit because he was not allowed, someone who is not yet 35, to sit in the Senate. Can you imagine that? But I'm saying these were some of the youth world leaders, you know. The quality and the fruit of their leadership is a testament to what youth leadership is capable of achieving. At their age, if we were today, these people would actually qualify to be Gen Zs, or if you like, the millennials or thereabout. You know what they did in Kenya. Thumbs up to them. And let me add with the great humility that I am, who was coming from a very humble background. I was lucky to start lecturing in Strathmore at the age of 28 and a half years. Having acquired those grades, you said I won't mention them because they are here, the 5 undergraduate degrees, the 2 master degree, the PhD, and 16 World Bank certification, which has gone to record that I have 24 certificates. I'm sure you know that to have those at below 30 years, it also shows the potential that the youth has. I'm not a youth anymore, but I was. Though the concept of youth is something people say between 18 and 35, or 30, according to the UN, but I think we need to confine ourselves between 15 and 24 years. Some people believe, but I think we just need to work with the figure 35. As we first approach 2024 with the new recruitment, you know, the technology is there. Technology is there. There's a lot of shifting workplace relationship. I'm talking about youth leadership, just not to mean political, but I want to cut just across youth leadership, because sometimes in Kenya nowadays, when you talk about youth leadership, people think you want a political position. But actually, that's not the case. Youth leadership is corporate, it's political, it's religious, it's civil society. So this cuts across very clearly. But let me tell you why youth leadership is so crucial now more than ever. The youth leadership is crucial in Kenya because the youth is in a serious crisis. Can you imagine that 60% of the youth in Kenya are unemployed? And that also means that 20% are underemployed. This makes it 80% of the youth in Kenya have no secured livelihoods, because if you're either underemployed or unemployed, you don't have secured livelihoods. In fact, studies show that youths are 3 times more unlikely to be employed than the older counterparts. If you just look at even the structure of the cabinet, if you look at the average age of the cabinet in Kenya, look at the average age of people working in parastatals, look at the average age of people working in these strong, big corporations, institutions, you can tell for sure that youth are disadvantaged. You started hearing about Moses Wetangula when you were still a small boy, Musalia Mudavadi, the same people are still there, and they're not leaving anytime soon. So that simply shows you that the youth actually needs to work very hard. And I want to just give two illustrations to bring this point home about the crisis the youth have with unemployment. Last week, but one, on 19th and 21st of October, here in Kenya, following the government advertisement about job opportunities in Qatar, thousands of youths thronged KICC for interviews so as to try their luck. And those thousands were only the few who had passports, because having a passport was a requirement. How about those who didn't even have passports in the first case? You're also aware about in September 2023, 7,000 youths showed up at the KDF recruitment in Embakasi alone. The few who were there eventually were taken, but very few that were lucky to be taken. Remember, there was a stampede about that. Now, to add salt to the wound, despite the millions who join secondary schools each year, more than 1 million join secondary school every year, over 600,000 who graduate every year. Imagine in the 4.2 trillion budget read by my fellow scholar, Professor Juna Ndungu, they declared that they had frozen employment. So that also means there's no hope. This is detrimental because the current government are driving the economy using a reverse gear. You could see today that 54 million Kenyans were given a holiday to watch the swearing in of the new deputy president. 23 million of Kenyans were watching. No, 23 million unemployed Kenyans were watching one Kenyan being employed in public with a lot of resources today, which were not budgeted for, with a speed that you could tell was supersonic. So these are serious challenges that you cannot. So if nothing happens among the youth, either the youth doing something by themselves, or the government doing something on their behalf, or the private sector doing something, or civil society, then these youth I'm talking about will never ever see a pay slip or be in a payroll or ever see any pension. That is the stark reality. I also conducted something survey at the invitation of the Private Sector Alliance about a happiness survey in Kenya. How happy are Kenyans? And I was actually not just checking generally how happy people are, but I was checking how happy they are vis-a-vis the jobs they're doing. The finding was that only 25% of Kenyans were happy with the work they're doing. The remaining 75% only worked because they were to earn a living, but they would have never loved to do the work they're doing. But let us not give up, my dear young people, after that challenge. Let us not give up, because there's hope here. The hope young people have is that in spite of the fact that they're being dominated by the older generation, there are some areas or spheres of sectors that the old people cannot compete them on. That is both millennials, Gen Zs, Gen Zs, and the rest. And what are these? I want to say that according to the book I wrote, which is called Solomonic Economics, I think I have a copy here. For those of you who have never seen it, this is the copy of Solomonic Economics. According to this book, it gives a clear indication that jobs that are fitting the youth are clear. For example, sports. There is no one who is 70 who can compete within sports. Alonso Musyoka will be 73 in 2027. So he can compete for election, but he cannot compete in sports. So they cannot compete in music. They can't compete in arts. They can't compete in technology. So these jobs, we want to create the new economy. That's why you see, we talk about the big leap, knowledge-based economy. In knowledge-based economy, we will beat them. So youth leadership in corporate, but also in politics, should be about knowledge-based. When you talk about knowledge-based, you can actually be able to win this one, and you can win squarely. So that's what I'm encouraging you. But also, I want to tell you there was a survey which was carried out by Deloitte. Deloitte estimated that by 2025, millennials and the members of Generation Z, Gen Z, will account for 75% of the world's working population. So where will you be as a leader? Are you preparing yourself to take this advantage, or you'll be crying in the cold. So this means that the future economy and the workforce will be heavily influenced by the leadership of the young people. But who are you? How prepared are you? I also checked something on the LinkedIn survey reveals that 63% of the Gen Z members would like to be managers in the next decade. That showed a lot of aspiration among the Gen Z. They don't want to be workers. They don't want to be makanga. They want to be drivers in the economy. They want to be the movers and shakers of the economy. So this makes the Linda Vijana Initiative the more relevant today, just to discuss about what the youth need to do. And this is about equipping these young people with information and skill they need to become influential leaders. So after that short introduction, let me go to some of the challenges that young people will be facing in case they want to become leaders. The first one, there is the ever-growing nature of leadership. The leadership of the Tom Mboyas, the Alexander the Greats, and the rest will not be the leadership of the 21st century. Will not be the leadership that the Gen Z, the Gen Xers, the millennials want to take. So which kind of leadership would fit this generation? If you just take up your father's career by thinking that becoming a medical doctor and a nurse, working in night shifts and day shifts, you are going to become a leader? Probably not. So you have to think about which kind of leadership is now. Which is the now leadership, not yester leadership. There's the now leadership and yester leadership. So what is the now leadership? Do a proper survey to see what are the competences that you need to get. And I will be talking about later the big five. I'll be talking about later the big five. And the big five has one thing which I call competence. So the second thing is about diversity. Nowadays, young people need to manage a lot of diversity. When I mean by diversity, I don't just mean diversity in terms of cultural, racial, or even tribal, but I also mean diversity in terms of competence. Nowadays, you find some companies where we have engineers, we have professors there, we have medical doctors, you have lawyers, and they're in the same company. Before, lawyers used to work in a law firm, but then the bank only had bankers. Nowadays, you go to a bank and you find all sorts of things. Nowadays, you find doctors being hired in an insurance company to help know how doctors should never cheat about health medical claims. So there's a lot of convergences. So even you can look for opportunities that takes advantage of some of these convergences. The other thing is deficit of experience. Our education system doesn't prepare you for a job, but yet you want to wake up and become a leader. And you find that most jobs, they are telling you, we need 5 years experience, 10 years experience. So how can you be able to be young, below 30, to have gained the experience that your fathers and our fathers and grandfathers maybe got when they were 50 or 60? So that means that you cannot just say, I'm now studying, I'm waiting to do internship. It means you have to walk, you have to climb the stairs and chew the gum. If you don't prepare yourself whereby you are studying here, at the same time you are getting experience there, then you might find yourself that by the time you're accumulating the education, then accumulating the experience, the job market has shifted that you cannot catch up with it. The fourth thing is the social pressure to fit in with the society. In fact, I would like to urge the young people who are here to read a book by the former president of the US called Barack Obama, who wrote about A Promised Land. What are you betting on? What are you betting on at your age? I remember Obama said that when he was in Manhattan in New York, he did bet on studying and reading and researching. But his friends were betting on how beautiful the American pies were and how could they enjoy the drinks and the life in Washington, actually in New York. When I was in Barcelona, I used to sit in a dark room, almost to this my office, which is my home office, reading and cruising through books. Yet Barcelona is full of wine, is full of women, is full of alcohol, is full of fun, is lit, the lights and sounds of Barcelona. And I used to sit in my room. Guys tell me, Fred, don't be too serious with life. Let's go have fun. I used to tell them I'll join you, but I will never go. So for you, what are you betting on under this social pressure that young people are saying? People want to explore, you want to enjoy this and that, you want to have weed, you want to do this. After weed, people say you can study how true those are. So you have to really be careful. Then the last one, which is the fifth one, I'm talking about the the post-COVID-19, which has changed the world, but also the post-Gen Z. Nowadays, the issue of saying when you put your CV, I don't know, Luos or Luyas or Kikuyus cannot be employed, no. Companies are looking for someone who can solve a problem. They're not looking for people who are just pushovers. And I want to argue anybody who is here, I don't know if I can remember to send, but sometimes when we promise a lot of things, we forget. There's an article I wrote on racing to the C-suite. How can you race quickly and go to the C-suite? What's the C-suite? A C-suite for leadership for youth is CEO, CFO, COIO, COO. Can you race to go to the C-suite when you are at 30, 35? Or you're waiting that when you reach 60 is when you go to the C-suite? Can you enjoy really the goods of life when you are at 60? Njonjo bought his Range Rover when he was too old to drive. Did you enjoy it? Some of us want to drive these Range Rovers when we are below 30. Then even if now we get broke, we are okay. I think I drove my dream car already when I was 29 there, 20 something, 30, I think 32 thereabout. So nowadays cars don't excite me, even if I use even if I use a Provox, I'm just easy because I'm no longer dreaming. So we also want to achieve these things when we're still young enough. So having talked about the challenges, what are some of the solutions that we want to talk about? Then I can now open up the floor for people to ask questions. Then we can now move with this conversation. The first thing I want to talk about is that people make a lot of noise. Oh, you see, my tribe, oh, you know, there are no jobs. The most important thing people are missing is competence. It's about competence. I can tell you, leaders of Linda Vijana, take your phone and see how young people normally chat people. Like I have one person who has been chatting me the last few days. He's my nephew. Hi, Dad, how are you? Then if I say I'm fine, the next chat is, I want to tell you something. You're talking to busy people. You cannot chat me like someone chatting a girlfriend. They have no competence of even engaging anybody. Yet they are blaming the world that leadership, they are not being helped, they're disadvantaged. The biggest problem is competence. Like now, get these young people who say they are not giving up and tell them, in 2 minutes, can you give me your pitch? And just pitch for anything. If you are to meet Bill Gates in a lift, and you open the lift and you find Bill Gates there, and the lift is going to move for 2 minutes, what will you tell Bill Gates in 2 minutes? Or you'll start taking a selfie with them. Then after the selfie, you post on social media you are with Bill Gates. Then you become a leader of what? So for me, the most important thing people are missing is competence, and people don't want to accept. In fact, I would say that competence is key because people deceive themselves that they're actually competent more than they are. There's what we call self-delusion. I am more competent than my boss. You see somebody, you think, even for example, you're a driver, you think that I can drive better than this driver. But in actual sense, you are not as competent as you think. There's a book I've written on 17 mental toughness steps if you want to have mental toughness for success. I did this book after interviewing Ronaldo and Messi in the same room when I was studying in Barcelona. And they told me they don't deceive themselves, they are competent. Ronaldo told me that when he began playing football, he used to play for 60 minutes and then go. But he had a target of becoming the highest goal scorer in the world. He couldn't do that because he could never finish a match. Why? Because he was good in striking, but he was never good in defending. So he had to go and work on defensive skills. Now, some of you want to become a CFO. Do you know how to report finances in a spreadsheet? Do you know how to report finances in an Excel sheet? Can you read a financial statement and understand it? Do you know even how to deal with people? Do you have emotional intelligence? You ask yourself, what are the competences you need for the job you want? Do you wake up every day to work on it? Or you are just like always blaming others? My problems are others. You'll never go anywhere. Because I can tell you, if you are so good, it will become so clear that no one can stop you. No one can stop you. I'm telling you. I've been in this same situation. I became academic director at 29 years in Strathmore, where people who became academic directors were doing their 60s or late 50s. And I was there at 29, commanding professors who are older than me. Of course, problems come with it, but of course I was there. So there's no traffic at the top. If you are so good, there's no traffic. You can't queue at the top. At the top, there's no queuing. People queue below. Where there's mass market, that's where people are queuing. If you want a reception job, 1 trillion people in the world are looking for reception jobs. You'll never get it easily. But if you're looking for a certain job that very few people qualify, even they look for you and tell you, can I give you a job? So the first thing I talk about the issue is competence, is the issue that young people need to work on so that they can achieve this leadership under Linda Vijana. The second thing, build social capital. Some of us are very poor in building social capital. Before you build social capital, you're looking for financial capital. You chat with the youth, and the next chat is that, can you help me 1,000 shillings Nalalanja? Who tells you that the people who will help you are concerned about your financial problems? You put your problems before even you connect with the person. I can show you, I have over one, you see, my mother died. You don't know, you are telling somebody who grew up as an orphan that, my mother died, so you should help me. Who tells you if your mother died, you're entitled to be helped? You don't want to connect with that person so that they can help you. Do you know that my father paid my school fees when I was 12? That is the last money my father ever gave me. And here I am, maybe what I've achieved. Maybe you don't take me seriously, but I'm saying at 12. So when someone tells me, my mother died when I was, and I'm an orphan. So I'm asking myself, so for you think that for me, my mother gave me what I have that you should be getting from me. So young people rush for financial capital before building the social capital. You should be able to build that social capital so that you make the people you want to relate with. There are so many ways of building social capital. I'm sure maybe Linda Vijana Initiative might actually call another day, just if we want to discuss about building social capital, maybe one day on how to work on your competence. But I am just trying to highlight them so that if you are interested in any of them, you can ask questions. The third thing is you must build a financial capital, because everything needs capital, even printing a CV, even traveling to meet somebody. Now, you see, people see me there, Professor Fred Ogola, you're doing very well. Can you imagine if everybody wants to meet me, they want me, Professor, give me an appointment, I come to meet you. Yes, that's true, you'll come. When you come, you want fare from me to go back, isn't it? If I'm meeting you in a hotel, I'm the one paying your coffee. So even if I'm paying fare for 10 people in a day and coffee for 10 people in a day, what is my work? Am I working for, do I have a table allowance like those people in government who have table? I'm just trying to say that it becomes like you say, okay, it's not sustainable for anybody to be buying 10 coffees in a day and paying 10 fares in a day. For you, you have to spend nothing. You don't want to invest on anything. So I'm trying to say that also building this financial capital, but before some financial capital need to build social capital, how we can discuss that later. The fourth one, I talk about the issue of how to build networks. Some people are extremely poor on how to build social networks. And also, when you build social networks, some people build social networks which cannot be useful. Like those social networks you build in the bar, drinking groups, I don't know, women, my girls group. They don't have authentic friends who can stand in a room when you are not there to say something positive. If you want to become a top manager, let's say you want to go to the C-suite, those decisions are being made in Serena, they're being made in Sarava Stanley, they're being made in a certain senior boardroom somewhere. But if you cannot have anybody in that boardroom saying, hi, Eve is good for this job, consider her. Do you want to sit in the board when you're a young woman, a young man? And no one can say, I think this brave Kenya guy can sit in this board and make a difference. If no one in the room can talk about you positively, you are nowhere. Remember this and mark my words. Decisions about your promotion will be made when you are not in the room. So who is in the room who is saying so and so deserve this or that? And if you don't know how to build networks to know those who are sitting in those rooms speaking when you're not there, that your buddies are those who drink with you. If you look at your phone book, the quality of your phone book is completely poverty. It's a negative sum game. What I mean is that you have a phone book where you have people who do your hair, people you buy shoes from, people who bring for you chicken, people bring for you honey. You in your phone book, you only have people you spend by sending the money. You will not go anywhere. You cannot call a CEO of a company and command that you can supply water to them. You have in your phone book, the contact is as poor as yourself, like people at your level, because sometimes you're even afraid of those who earn more than you because you are scared that you might look inferior. So network is a serious issue. Is completely a serious issue. I grew up in Siaya, in Ogenya, one of the poorest part. I was born in Kibra, here in Katwekera. My father was a catechist. He had no network. I've built a network. And I can tell you that that is one of the most important things that you can learn how to make. The last one is learning communication skills. Learning communications skills is that young people, if you want to go to leadership, you must learn your communication skills. You even see the current government we're having. I don't know whether they know how to communicate or they don't, but you can judge for yourself. But you have to know how to communicate to different people. What I mean by communicating different people, you must know how to communicate to your generation. Do you know how to communicate to your generation? Like some of you know now about Gen Z. Do you know how to talk to the Gen Z? If you're a millennial, do you know how to talk to them? Or you talk to them the language of the lost generation. But also you must be able to know to talk to those above you. But also you must be able to know to talk to those below you. You must know how to talk to those horizontally across you. But also you must be able to talk to a certain race, which is not yours. Can you go to the US and get an American interested in a conversation with you, or a British? Or for you, when you go there, you look like a slave because you are colonized by them. So you are almost bending on your knees. Can you be able to make them know what value you are? So as far as I finish, I can just say that you must be risk takers and eager to try new things. And I will tell you, two roads divide in a wood. I took the one less traveled, and that has made all the difference. This is a quote by somebody you know very well. It's called Robert Frost. Robert Frost said this: two roads divide in a wood. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Some of us can never try to take a route less traveled. They take the route most traveled. And the route most traveled has been taken by many people, and they always have never made a difference. The route which is less traveled are taken by very few people. And the route to hell is paved with very good intentions. They look very easy to take. The route to heaven looks even almost thorny, looks rough, they look narrow. So are you going to take the narrow path, the thorny path, the route less traveled, the route that takes away your dignity, the route that almost takes away your dignity, the route that almost makes you feel that the world's against you, but then you know very well that when you pass there, it works. Go and check again on Google as I speak. If you want diamond to become diamond, do you know the heat that a diamond is put through so that it can become a jewel? The diamond ore is heated at a very high level for, and I've forgotten, but I know it's very high degrees Celsius. But for you, you want to be taken like a baby, you want to be treated softly, and you want to become diamond. Diamond must pass through fire. Gold must also pass through fire and a lot of pressure exerted on them. For you, any pressure, you get annoyed with the person putting pressure on you. You can never go anywhere. I've never been made. For me, I can end this by saying shortly that if you look at anything which has made me, I've gone through most of the crises in my life. I'm a child of crisis. The more crisis I got in life, the stronger I became and the more successful I become. Some of you, even if your girlfriend can leave you in the week of exam, you'll postpone exam because you are mourning. Can you become anything in such a way? You cannot. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I take it back to Catherine. Should you have any questions, please feel free. I'm here. And Catherine, yes, the new thing which has happened is that I was appointed as the DVC of Uzima University to do resource mobilization for them. So in as much as we are with you in civil society, I have presidential ambitions, but I still have to go and change something in Uzima. We'll be back when time comes because no one knows when elections are taking place. But for now, we have to transform lives and become leaders. We have enough activists. Now we need leaders. Thank you very much, Catherine.
Thank you very much. I didn't know someone can postpone exam.
Sorry?
You saying someone gets dumped and the best point of action is postponing exams. So I didn't know someone can postpone exams, and the reason is I was dumped a week before the exam. I think the one thing I can add before I move to the comments, and please post on the comments or raise your hand to give a question or add on something. There's this what we call love of learning. So you have to keep educating yourself. Always have some material that is helping you. Like now I'm going through this one, Ikigai. The one, yes, your purpose. You need to live. Who doesn't want to find happiness in every day? To have purpose.
So
Yes,
Catherine,
so
Catherine, there's this guy called Linda Vijana Initiative. I don't know who he is, but he's typed the poem there.
Yeah, Osino for Peter. I don't know if you will want to comment. He's been active on the chat. And please, everyone, feel free to either post a question, post a comment, or raise your hand and speak. Yeah, I've seen the poem by Robert Frost, The Road Not Taken. So the floor is ours. I don't know if Gracie is here. She's another youth leader. Grace, are you in the house?
Catherine, where I am, my network is not very strong. That's why I'm taking it easy. It keeps floating. Okay. But I love everything that Prof said. Actually, you really excited me. Your life seems like it's just a parallel of mine. And I love the fact that you say it as it is, that many people want it given on a silver platter. Most times we meet people and the first thing will be how all the litany of problems that they've gone through, not knowing that probably you've gone through much bigger problems that, to some of us, we are seen as hardcore. You've gone through so much that when somebody tells you theirs, you feel like that's a joke. Is that really a problem? Somebody tells you, I did not get uh, I did not have pocket money, and throughout your life you've never seen anything to do with pocket money. In the first place, you didn't even have teachers, you didn't even have school fees to be in school like other people. Somebody starts telling you about mundane problems like you just talked about, relationship. Enough youth who come to me nowadays, they're relationship related problems. And you wonder, at your age, I never thought about this. Those who have far much secondary problems. So, and then you talked about competence. You've said it, exact words I use: solving problems. Many people think there are no jobs, but jobs are too many, only that we have no employable people. We have people who can't solve a problem. They think if I have a degree, therefore I am entitled to some job somewhere. It's very difficult to employ you if you can tell exactly what you can solve. And more so, just having papers is not a big deal. Today, the employment landscape is really shifted. People are no longer hired just because you have some degree or whatever papers. You need to prove that you are competent enough in a particular domain, and therefore there is a reason to look for you. And enough of us are looking for sympathy. Sympathy is never a currency that people can buy. It's a big problem now. So I can relate with all the things that you said, and I think I would have loved to hear you more and more and more. Yeah, Thank you. And you've kept it precise and sweet. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, my brother.
Enjoy your holiday, Otino. Any comments? I have not seen a comment or a question on the chat yet. Let me see.
I have a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
I think this was very insightful, especially on the aspect of competence, because sometimes we approach the world and we expect everyone to be kind to us even when we have nothing to offer. But the current world is more output oriented. They want to see what you can actually do for them. So I think he has provided some very great insights on what we actually need to do. And he mentioned something very important about like your goals. Yes, we do have goals, but what do we do about them each and every day that move us closer to the actual thing? And I think we're going to need another session on building social networks and social capital, because personally, I'm very poor at making social connections. So I would be very, very happy if we can get some insights about that. Yes. And I am ready to take some risks and to try out new things. So I'm very inspired.
Thank you very much, Evelyn, for your comments. And yes, we'll look to see when we can have more talks on each of the points he was talking on: building social capital, competence, building financial capital, and learning communication skills. Brave Kenya, would you like to say something?
Okay,
Yes,
okay,
absolutely.
Emmanuel gave a comment. Sorry for that. Okay, Emmanuel gave a comment. Sorry, I have not enabled the chat to all, but now I've done. The root tale reminds me of the previous talks from those who were my closest alliance, especially when they were condemning my choice on less route. It was hard to live with it. Whatever that means, I don't know, maybe you can explain better. I'm not sure I got it. But thank you, that okay, for the comment. Yes, Brave TV.
Thank you so much.
You're not very audible.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now? Audible now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, now it's better.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so Brave TV is a YouTube channel that I have by the same name. And I'm very passionate about young people. And when I saw that you have a Zoom session on mentoring young people, I thought I'd just join, and I'm really delighted by the message that we've had from Prof. Very, very timely. And I'd just like to pick exactly what he said about being able to deliver value. I think I'm just over 40 right now, and I was telling people in my 40th birthday that the biggest thing I've learned about succeeding in life is that you've got to have your priorities right. And that means most young people, especially, even not young people, generally, people tend to look at the money rather than the value. And the best thing you can do as a young person is to look at the value. What value do you offer? And really define that very well. Define it so well that you know that I'm going to get really good at this one thing. One thing, first of all. So some people describe it as being T-shaped. So you are really deep in one thing, just like T has got one vertical axis. And then now you're very broad at the top, so that you also know other things. You're not just someone who's immersed in your world like an ostrich. And when someone talks about something that is outside your domain, you absolutely have nothing to say about it. So get depth by focusing in one area and really getting very good at it, and then get breadth by also having opening your eyes to see what's happening around you and being able to hold a conversation with anybody. Literally, there are people here who can actually go anywhere. If you sit on a plane and you find someone there looking like they don't look like you, they look like someone from another continent, but you can still hold a meaningful discussion with them and conversation and enjoy your flight. That comes by you exposing your mind to books, to educating your mind. As Prof has said, he spent time to educate himself. And when you're well educated, you learn to accept everyone. You become very humble. And you realize that you don't know. In fact, the more you learn, the more you study, the more you realize that you don't know much. And that makes you humble. When you see someone who's big-headed, who doesn't want to be told anything, it means they've not really studied. They may be educated on paper, but they're not learned. So I'd like to encourage the young people listening and everyone else just to focus on value, focus on what value you can deliver, and then really hone on it and become really good. And the money will follow. Absolutely, it will follow without you. But if you focus on the money, then you find yourself. What happens is that you find yourself chasing everything that looks good. You know, someone tells you, oh, nowadays actually, if you do this, you'll make money. You start chasing that, and then someone else comes and says, no, actually, if you want to make money, become this. So you'll find yourself following so many paths, and at the end of the day, you become not a specialist at anything, and then you'll find that the money you're chasing, actually, you're not getting it. But if you focus on becoming really good at something and delivering value, then the money will actually come and follow. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Yes, I love that you've said the word value, which apparently right now, as we're going towards the end of the year, I often ask people, why are we excited because it's the last of December? We expect to just change because, and many people can't explain. But I love to always emphasize that if we do not grow in value in the marketplace, then nothing is going to change. Things can even be worse because we are probably even going down in our value in the marketplace because the marketplace is shifting drastically. So all of us, irrespective of our age, our career level, whatever, economies, people claim or complain about economy, but it doesn't behave the same way for people who are continually working on themselves to grow in value in the marketplace. So young or old, I think very, very profound that we focus on what value are we bringing to the marketplace that can be purchased. And that is what will determine whether our new year is going to be better, our new month is going to be better. And it doesn't always have to wait for 31st December. That's the way life is. A value in the marketplace. Thanks, Catherine. Also. Can pick it up.
Just something to pick up from what Brave Kenya said, and now what my brother here, Linda Vijana Initiative.
Yes, this is Otieno.
Otieno.
Please.
Okay.
Yes, let me just read that.
Yeah, so I saw when during the Gen Z revolution took place, and then some of our brothers found it that they must be able to join hands with either Raila Odinga or William Ruto. Then I asked them, when you go to William Ruto, do you have a CV to put? Because the CV cannot be that I've done demonstration, because now they may be looking for a PS, they may be looking for a director somewhere, they may be looking for someone to handle communication, they may be looking for someone to handle logistics, because they cannot just employ you because you are demonstrating against them. Your competence cannot be demonstration. So what value will you bring now? If you go on demonstration, mandamano, so that you can be given a job, when you're given a job, what can you do with it? Even remember the guys who have come to Kenya Kwanza in the name of team of experts. How good is Opio and I in energy? How is Badi doing? Now they realize they cannot do anything. Now they are back to now just playing politics. So the youth need to spend time developing themselves. Ronaldo told me, Fred, do you see how I kick balls when I'm doing free kick? I tell them these amazing kicks you give. He told me every day he makes such 100 kicks per day, 100 per day. Some of us cannot say 10 Hail Marys in a week. Just if I tell you to pray Monday to Sunday, you'll say, oh, today nimechoka sana. Today I think we slept late. Oh, today lunch was late. Can you imagine a routine of kicking a ball through a goal 100 times per day? But that's not the only thing he's doing. He has to run, he has to go to the gym, He has to work on his mental fitness. He has to work on other things. Then again, kick the ball 100 times. How many of us are doing? Then the last point I want to say is that as Eve was trying to say about the issue of preparing ourselves, we must start with a realistic, objective reality. If you are not competent on something, don't think you are. If you're not good in communication, you should be honest and know I'm not good in communication. If you're not good in, let's say, in language, for example, you can go and improve your English, you can improve your maths, you can improve your financial knowledge, you can improve people competence. Some people don't know how to talk to other people or work with other people. So I'm saying in general, start by doing an analysis about yourself. Do a SWOT on yourself. I know you like doing a SWOT about companies, you start doing a SWOT about other people, but can you sit down and say, these are my weaknesses? Some people, if they do your SWOT, they may think they are very strong. They may think I'm very intelligent, but you're not intelligent in what? Intelligence is to know what is important for your success. If you cannot know what is important for your success, you're not intelligent. So do a real review to know that competence-wise, I am this way. Effort-wise, I am this way. So in that competence, do a proper analysis and know if you're meeting Bill Gates, ask Bill Gates, I have a challenge here and there. How can you help me? If you're meeting somebody like, let's say you meet somebody like Joshua Igara, what can you tell Joshua you want to work on? If you meet some of these highly successful people and there's a weakness you want them to help you through, if you don't know your weakness, you'll be telling them about your strength. And maybe your strength actually is a false strength. So we need to do a SWOT on ourselves. And that SWOT should be very, very objective. That's why even politicians lose election, because they're telling me everyone knows me in the constituency. When people are doing a survey to check popularity, only 2 people know you, your wife, and your children knows you. Nobody else knows you. So people cheat themselves, and cheating yourself is actually the beginning of failure. So I like what you're trying to say is value. So can you go and do analysis? What is my value? If I'm given this dream job I'm looking for, what can I offer? But don't cheat yourself. You can be better than your boss if you don't even know the products in the company where you're working. You don't even know the pricing strategy. You don't even know the segments of the market where those goods are being sold. So that is a very big challenge that young people, if they navigate it, they will go very far. If you look at the guys who have achieved like Tom Mboya, Alexander the Great, you go to Jefferson, they'll tell you they sat down and realized where they were weak and they address it quickly, and that's where they move. I also like what has happened in the US. Joe Biden has discovered he cannot win an election. Joe Biden has never won the lost election before. And he knew if he went for this election, he will lose. So he's decided not to go. If a whole president of the US has done a SWOT and discovered he can't win, who are you? You saw the one of Botswana went for election and lost. If he did what Joe Biden did, he could have not even run. So he could have actually not lost. So we must be honest about ourselves, what we are and what we can be able to achieve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Quickly, in just 60 seconds, the disease bit you said, we have enough politicians, what we need is leaders. So for the young people who want to become leaders in political spaces, so what are you telling them exactly when you say we have enough politicians, what we need is leaders? In 1 minute, we close at 10.
Yeah, actually, I said we have enough politicians and activists. We don't have leaders. Leaders is about stewardship. Stewardship is about being entrusted with the resources, which can be physical and financial. They can also be people who are put entrusted with you. They can also be information. And the KPI from God, if you look at the story of the talent, is to add value. This talent, you're given 1, don't go bury 1. If you're given 2, make them 4. If you're given 5, make them 10. So how many people, if you give 5, will give you 10? There are very many people whom, if you give them 5, are those stolen. What have we given our politicians? Governors receive 15, 13, 10 billion shillings in your county. In your county, Catherine, do they convert 15 billion into 30 billion, or they steal everything? So leadership is about adding value to what you have been entrusted with And I said, me, I'm now moving into leadership. I want to do less activism and less politics, but just do leadership. So that's what I'm encouraging young people. Go add value, be a steward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Gracie, I don't know if you followed enough before you lost connection. Would you be able to give a vote of thanks, or I hand back to Otieno to give a vote of thanks? Okay, Otieno Peter, you can tell us thank you for coming, and also thank you to Prof.
Yeah, I want to take this opportunity on behalf of Linda Vijana Initiative, an organization that started about 3 years now, and at the height of COVID, in order to ensure that the youth are not misled, to be able to give you a vote of thanks for taking your time at these wee hours of the night to share your thoughts, to share your insights honestly and brutally candid. We're going to put this also on the YouTube and share it around. And you know, this is something that doesn't go stale. So we will continue to share it. And we are told of the parable of the sower. Oh, the parable of the sower went sowing, and enough seed get broadcasted wherever. But some fell on the good soil. And even among those that fell on the good soil, not all produced equally, but some produced 100-fold. And we believe that the seed that you broadcasted today, there will be some, probably the least, which will go and produce 100-fold. I love the things you mentioned. I relate well when you also talked about even mental toughness, something I've talked about for ages. Yeah, that we are able to grow our resilience, be able to see the world as if the world was anything, and also do our best to conquer the world. I love how you finished leadership, and I love to say that we have more politicians, and the world is in dire need of more leaders than even preachers, because we have enough preachers. But you see, leadership, as you said, is stewardship. And Jesus said very well, by their fruits you will know them. So it doesn't matter what they say. In fact, enough people who claim to be leaders, actually, they are misleaders. So thank you very much for being true to that. And thank you for mentioning it as it is. And it's my prayer that God will continue to open your ways, to give you more platform, and that I know truth is not very popular usually. Yeah, when you speak such things to many youth, by the way, they will not necessarily love you. They will not love you. And you already, I believe you already know that. They may interpret it differently, yes, kujigamba, all sorts of things. But this is the reality. Jesus wasn't loved because he was speaking a lot of truth. And so we thank you and pray that you will continue to grow and live your dream, and help us in this endeavor to Linda Vijana. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each and everyone here logged in. Jerry Gracie, Rima Chao, Brave Kenya TV, good to have you. George Muridi, Eve, Sindala, Muturi, Charles Gachoka, Vincent, Okeo, Susan, and everyone else, including those who may have dropped. You are becoming the ambassadors of this message. And you relate with youth. If you are not the one, you relate with some. Even if you are youth, you still relate with some youth. The little that you've gathered right now, when you sit down with some, just take time to share with them the insight. And you can also pick from our YouTube channel to be able to share with them. And the YouTube channel is at Linda Vijana Initiative. Yeah, let me try if I can just put it. I think it's at Linda Vijana Initiative, something like that. So be willing to share with them, that we may be able to win this war of being misled, but people getting to be led. I thank Gracie for taking time to be here, and Catherine. They are both members of the board of Linda Vijana Initiative. I want to return it back to Catherine, and so maybe she can close. I don't know if somebody will pray. I don't know.
Yeah, so our next session will be on the first. No, we don't have a session in December. Yeah, so the next one is in January, God willing, 2025. Yeah, Gracie, please pray for us. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night and a great weekend. And I hope you connect. I've shared my WhatsApp number.